Yo, welcome back to the Cat Podcast. This is episode 301. That's Taylor Cloud over there. I am Nate Sperlin. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. This is your weekly tour through hip hop. Shout out to everybody who has experienced their day being ruined by NBA 2K. That happened to me like 2 days ago. Like, it was terrible. I had like 40 and 10 and we lost by 20 because nobody wants to play defense and nobody wants to cut. I had like 10 turnovers too. It was bad. Very bad time.
I haven't played 2K since like freshman year of college, and there's a reason for that.
That being said, do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow OldMilk on Instagram and Twitter at OldMilk Media. Check out the OldMilk Spins playlist on Spotify. Before we get started, they rep Red Sox over there, big dog?
Nah, I do though. I do. I'm in California. Every time I go anywhere I travel, I wear my Red Sox hat.
Red Sox. Do you genuinely get look? I know I'm pretty sure in New York you get some looks, but like just in general.
Oh, I've been to Yankee Stadium, up in the bleachers, only person wearing Red Sox stuff.
You're a very brave man. I'll tell you that straight up.
I mean, it's easy when I go with like Yankee fans though, because it's like it's Red Sox Yankees, but still my friends.
Feel that. For this episode 301, we are going to be discussing Denzel Curry's new project, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. It is 14 tracks long, 45 minutes long as well. It features Robert Glasper, Buzzy Lee, Saul Williams, Bridget Perez, T-Pain, Black, Rico Nasty, JID, Josiah, Powers Present, Kareem Riggins, 454, and Slow Thigh. Taylor, you could start it off first. What were your first initial thoughts with Denzel Curry's new album?
I think it's really cohesive. It's really nice to listen to from the top to the bottom, which to me is a sign of a good album. That's how I like to listen to albums. I'm not like a listen one time, delete the songs I don't like kind of music listener. Like I like everything to be, kept how the artist intended for it to be. And honestly, I like the project a lot. I listened to it a couple times yesterday, a couple times today. It's nice. It's good listening. I think you and I talked about this off mic, but Denzel Curry really is taking another step with his lyricism, with his storytelling, with his, creating this world and working inside of it, keeping everything inside that world, but also really like making it a full, complete experience. So I like it a lot. I think this is a really good project.
I agree. I think there's moments where the attention to detail is there. Some of the transitions from track to track are seamless, and I really appreciate that. Additionally, the whole project kind of has the intimacy of an open mic, if that makes sense. Like you get so many different styles and performances in this one album created by this one artist, Denzel Curry, but still has that intimacy and it's still emotional, it's raw, it's vulnerable, and I appreciate that. He talks about death and the fragility of life a lot. Like on I have some lines that I wrote down here. First of all, there's a track towards the end called Smell of Death, The Smell of Death, which that's kind of giving the game away right there. Additionally, on Melt session number 1, he towards the end he starts rapping. He's rapping the whole time, but he raps. I channel God through this verse. Accountability. I take responsibility for all my actions. I pack them in these soliloquies. Just because we're not friends doesn't mean we're enemies. Thank you for listening. Sending y'all with good energy. So right there, throughout that whole track, he's basically talking about how just ways that he could have been better in the past and how he plans to act on that knowledge from here on out, which I appreciated. On X-Wing, he, in the flow of the verses, he mentions, he raps and he says, Mac ain't make it to 27, Pac ain't make it to 26, Big ain't make it to 25. And then he continues on saying that he needs to be rich. That's also another line pointing to the unfortunate, far too often short lifespan of beloved rappers in hip hop. On Angels, he also says, not caring if I'm rich or surrounded by chalk, I can live like Jay or die like Ja. That's it. That Ja Well, now that I'm reading it right now, I'm getting it now, and Ja is referring to XXXTentacion, another Florida. Well, Denzel Curry's from Florida. XXXTentacion is also from Florida too, so that connection is definitely there somehow. So lots of vulnerability on this. I also appreciated the versatility on it. Walk in, worst comes to worst, the last troubles, and Zato Ichi. I might be pronouncing that wrong. That's probably like the second to last, the penultimate track there. But the versatility and the styles in which he's able to deliver this content and keeping it fresh and keeping it cohesive at the same time is really, really important. And Denzel Curry has been doing this for a while now. Going back to he had it out. I forget when it came out, but I think when he first released Taboo, that's when it really started showing his talent and artistry. And then from then on, he went to create another album called Zoo, which was completely different from Taboo, but still the same quality. Obviously, Unlocked that came out in 2020 was really good with Kenny Beats producing all those beats. And now here we are with Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, where Denzel Curry is essentially on a 4-album run that honestly throughout all the albums they're so cohesive. There isn't many skips. You could probably count the amount of skips in those 4 albums on one hand, if I'm being honest with you, and that just shows how great of an artist he is.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to put it. And it feels like there's not a comfortability, there's a comfortability in the artist he is, in the way that he knows he can put a project together. At this point, there isn't a ton of insecurity on this in terms of being an artist. There's insecurity in terms of being a human being. There's insecurity in terms of, being a rapper specifically, like you were just talking about, with rappers dying early, everything like that. So there's insecurity in that, but this to me feels like a real strong, like, he knows what to do as the artist, how to put this project together. And I think a song like Ain't No Way, with all those features with Black, Rico Nasty, JID, everyone else in that track, him going, I think his verse is second to last. Like, that's putting like his project before himself, before like any of the like, I don't have to lead this off. I don't have to, you know what I mean? It's like, he's just like, I think this really feels like a project where he puts the art in front of himself and he's like, this is what this is. Take it as it is. And like, I think the no skips thing is important, because taking it as it is means like listening to the project top to bottom, which is how it's intended to go. And it feels like this album was really sequenced on purpose. It wasn't just like, all right, this song is for the stream, so we need to put that at number 4. This song is for the whatever, so we need to put that here. It feels like, from top to bottom, this is intentional. I think intentional is a really good way to describe this project, because you can tell that this is what he set out to execute, or at least it sounds like it's what he set out to execute, and did a great job in doing that.
I want to go back to Ain't No Way. You mentioned it, featuring Black, Rico Nasty, JID, Josiah, and Powers Pleasant. That the ability to create a track that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 features on it, and have each of the features execute their task in a way where it's not too much, it's just right. With Black is basically on the hook. Rico Nasty has a really good verse. JID's verse is short, but it also still adds to the track. And then obviously Denzel Curry adding his verse as well after JID's verse. I think that it's very rare to see a track like that actually with that many artists featured on it actually come out well, as shown by many DJ Khaled projects. But that's one of the ways to do it. And I also think Walk-In, the first half of Walk-In is fine. It's good. It's really good. Probably still one of the highlights of the album. But the second half of that track is just so perfect. It's just so Denzel Curry because when we first were put on to Denzel Curry, we heard Ultimate. That was the big song. It was on Vine. It was blowing up. I am the one. Like everybody knows that. So him being able to kind of take that flow, kind of calm it down a little, and use that as the chorus for the second half of Walkin', and then within that still have a very good verse is really important to me. It shows me that he knows who he is as an artist, and he knows how to deliver how to grow within himself. I feel like a lot of artists, as they continue to grow, they start trying to look at what's mainstream and how they can potentially do that. But it really, it means a lot to me when artists are like, okay, that's mainstream. I know who I am, so how do I grow within that? And I think that the second half of Walkin' is definitely a very good example of that. Shout out Zeltron.
Yeah, no, for real. And I think the second track of albums like this is always really important. The intro is great, but the second track I feel like shows you if it's going to be an album that's runs together or if it's going to be a project that's designed to have something for everyone. And there's no problem with a project that's designed to have something for everyone. But when it comes to projects that are easy to listen to or you're supposed to listen to from top to bottom, I know I've said that a bunch, but because of this project, like really feels like it feels a little bit like Saba's record in that sense, where it's like you're supposed to go through it. It's supposed to tell a story. Every song is supposed to add an element to it. And Walking as the second track is so important to do that because the intro is great. And then, like I just said, you can go one of two ways where it can be completely different or it can follow a similar path, not sound the same, but give you a better understanding of where you're going to go. And two songs that I think my favorite two songs, well, my favorite song for sure is Mental, track 6.
Very good track.
And then I like Sanjuro or Sanjuro, however it's pronounced.
That's another good track.
Yeah, those two are great. And those give me, and a lot of time comparison is lazy, and I understand that, but those give me a lot of like Section 80 feelings. And I really enjoyed that, especially track 6. The features, the hook, the sung chorus really gives me a feeling of Denzel Curry's like sitting back, letting this other person do their thing. Then he positions himself in a way to weave in and out of these like really like beautiful hooks, beautiful choruses to tell his story while letting that chorus carry you through the song. So I really like that. I also like the T-Pain feature, honestly.
Yeah. It's
really
about
like
time that we start seeing the result of T-Pain actually responding to Instagram DMs. It's about time that we see that.
For real. Absolutely.
Going back to your point about which you said it was Mental track 6 that made you feel like kind of gave you comparisons to Section 80. I think that the first track also gives you comparisons to Section 80 just based off of the beat selection, how it's more, for a lack of a better phrase, more live band like. And some of the tracks on Section 80, when you look at the first one that comes to my mind actually is Ab-Soul's intro, where Ab-Soul raps and it's just basically a percussion the whole time. And then there's a nice brass instrument riff to take you out of the song. It kind of reminds me of that in the same way. There isn't a brass riff on Denzel Curry's track 1, but other than that, the percussions are just beautiful. Robert Glasper has been doing that for a while too. I believe I listened to one of his albums like 2 years ago, and the production on there is really good. I also like Sanjuro a lot as well. 454, I don't know who that is, but their execution on that hook, really good, and it really meshes well with Denzel Curry's style in terms of how he raps on that too. I think that there isn't a feature, and this is also something that's rare with albums like this, there isn't really a feature that's out of place. Everything seems to be exactly where it needs to be. And I said it before, but again, like doing exactly what it needs to do and not too much, and also not too little.
Yeah, it creates the project it was supposed to create. It's not there's no song on this that's like, all right, we need the streams from this one. Like everything else can be I hate to call it art because it's all art. Everything else can be the album, and then this one is the one that's going to rack up the numbers. It's like everything is there for a reason, and like you said, nothing does too much, but it executes perfectly, which is obviously the mark of a good project, good album.
Yeah, for sure. How much, just a random guess, how much playback value do you think this album has?
Right now, a lot for me. Like right where just like wanting to listen to something over and over. And I've also been in a phase where I'm trying to find stuff that's off the beaten path a little bit, but really cohesive, really nice to listen to. And I think Saba actually inspired me to start really, really diving into stuff like that, even going back to projects, which is why this reminded me of Section 80, going back to some of my favorite artists, the earlier stuff before they were huge, but also just like someone like Wiki from New York City. Like he just released a project, Navy Blue, like all of that. Like I'm trying to get into that where it's insular. The project is itself. It's not supposed to hit the Billboard, whatever. It's supposed to be a project that resonates with listeners. So right now, I think this has a lot of playback value for me. I'm excited to keep listening to it, keep understanding what he's saying, and let those features sink in a little bit more. Because like the first time I listened, to me, the Rico Nasty feature was a tiny bit abrasive, but the second time I listened to it and the third time I listened to it, I was like, oh, this is like Rico's verse is the edge to that song. Rico is the one who's like, yeah, like the Black's hook is like smooth and soft. Even JID is really soft spoken in his verse. And Rico's the one who's taking the stand in the front. That's like, yeah, like whatever, everyone's rapping, doing their cool thing, but I'm here and like I'm ready to like whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen. So yeah, right now this is a lot of playback value for me.
I like that you use the word abrasive, because I think that that's what some of Denzel Curry. I think the balance between abrasive and smooth is basically how you describe Denzel Curry's music.
Yeah,
because he can be on some of these tracks. He is abrasive. I believe. What's the track? The Smell of Death. On that track, he's pretty abrasive on it in terms of how he like the tone of his voice is abrasive, and the things that he raps about is abrasive. And there's plenty of more examples on that throughout the album. But to close that out and close this episode out, what are your favorite tracks on Melt My Eyes, See Your Future?
So like I said, I think Mental is my favorite one, track 6. The intro's really good. Walking's really good. Ain't No Way is really good. So those are probably my favorite. You got the Mental, Ain't No Way, the intro, and Walking. And then Sanjuro with 454. That's probably, if I had a top 5, those are probably my 5.
I think I have 6 here. Actually, I have Walking. I agree mainly with you. I have Walking, Mental featuring Saul Williams and Bridget Perez. Also the poem at the end of Mental too.
Is. Yeah.
That also adds to the open mic feel of it. Of the album in general. Troubles featuring T-Pain, Ain't No Way featuring Black, Rico Nasty, JID, Josiah, and Powers Pleasant, Sanjuro featuring 454. Great, and the Ills, great outro. That's the thing too. If you don't close this album out correctly, it kind of all goes to waste. And
yeah, the Ills is really good. I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I mean, all these songs are good. Like, you know what I mean? They all go together. X-Wing, he's really rapping.
Yeah, no.
Out of all the songs, he's like, X-Wing is the one that I'm like, all right. Like, this is like an elevated, not like, it's just like in terms of the raps specifically, it's like, all right, okay. All right, cool. You're here.
Gotcha. Sorry, Zeltron.
Yeah, exactly.
You got it, Zeltron.
Yeah.
All right. So that is our discussion on Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. Thank you for listening and watching. Once again, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow OldMilk on Instagram and Twitter at OldMilk Media. Check out the OldMilk Spins playlist on Spotify. All the links will be in the description. And stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and we will be back when hip hop tells us to be back. So thank you for listening and watching.